It's 4:30 in the afternoon. Your toddler has had a fun day. Playground, supermarket, maybe a quick visit to grandma. On paper, it looks perfect. But now, you're in the hallway, trying to get shoes off, and your child completely loses it over a sock seam. They scream, throw themselves on the floor, refuse dinner, demand cuddles, and then push you away. You're thinking, what is going on? Why are they like this? Did I mess up somewhere today? Very often, this isn't bad behavior. It's an overstimulated brain waving a white flag. In this video, we're going to talk about 7 subtle signs your toddler is overstimulated, signs most parents miss or write off as just being 2. When you start seeing these patterns, you can step in earlier, calm things faster, and prevent some of those end-of-day meltdowns that leave everyone exhausted. Before we jump in, a quick reassurance: nothing in this video replaces medical advice. If you're worried about your child's development or behavior, always talk to your pediatrician. Overstimulation is common and normal, but some of the signs can overlap with things like ADHD, anxiety, or sensory processing differences. Think of this video as a map to help you notice patterns, not a diagnosis. Let's start with what overstimulation actually is. Toddlers' brains are still building the wiring that filters information. Every color, sound, smell, texture, feeling, and emotion is like a little ping hitting their nervous system. A busy day, a noisy shop, bright lights, lots of people, even just a long playdate can eventually flood their system. Researchers call this sensory overload, the state where there's more input than the brain can comfortably handle. Your child doesn't think, yes, I am overstimulated. I should probably go lie in a dark room now. They just feel wrong, too full, too hot, too tired, too wired, and it leaks out through their behavior. Here are 7 ways how that often looks in real life. Sign 1. Their mood flips out of nowhere over tiny things. You know those moments when your toddler is fine 1 second and then completely unglued because the banana broke or the blue plate is in the dishwasher? A sudden, dramatic mood flip over something tiny is one of the most common signs of overstimulation. Studies and parenting resources list irritability, crankiness, and acting grumpy for no obvious reason as key clues that a child has hit their limit. What's happening inside? All day, their nervous system has been quietly working overtime. At the supermarket, during playgroup, in the car. By late afternoon, there's no buffer left. That tiny frustration, like a broken cracker, is just the final straw. How to respond. Instead of focusing on the cracker, focus on the bucket that's overflowing. Stay calm, keep your voice soft, and say something like, "That feels like a lot. Your body is tired from today." If you can, reduce stimulation, turn off the TV, dim the lights a bit, move to a quieter room. You're not rewarding the meltdown, you're helping a stressed nervous system come back down. Sign 2. They get more hyper the more tired they are. We tend to imagine a tired toddler as a floppy teddy bear. In reality, an overstimulated toddler often looks like the opposite. Bouncing off furniture, running laps, shrieking, doing wild, risky things. Experts note that in young children, overstimulation can show up as hyper, excited, or more active than usual, especially after busy days or during holidays. Think of it as their body using movement and noise to try to blow off extra sensory steam. Clue to watch for: you know they're tired. The day has been long, bedtime is close, but instead of slowing down, they seem to speed up and lose all breaks. How to respond? Don't automatically label it naughty. Ask yourself, is this a too much input situation? Offer predictable, rhythmic movement that's calmer. Slow rocking in a chair, a stroller walk, pushing a heavy laundry basket, or a simple steamroller game on the floor where you gently roll them in a blanket. Movement can help organize a frazzled nervous system if it's steady and grounded, not wild. Start bedtime or wind-down routines earlier on big days before they hit the wired stage. Sign 3. They suddenly become super clingy or completely shut down. Another subtle sign is a clingy shadow who won't let go of you, or the opposite, A child who withdraws, hides, or refuses to join in. Research on stress in young children lists clinging to caregivers more than normal, withdrawing, and regressing to younger behaviors as classic reactions when their system is overloaded. Other sources on overstimulation note that kids may refuse activities, hide, or avoid touch when they're overwhelmed. How it looks in real life. At a birthday party, your toddler suddenly won't leave your lap, cries if anyone else talks to them, and insists on you carrying them everywhere. After a noisy day, they retreat behind the sofa with a toy and don't want to engage. They ask for help with simple things they normally do alone, like putting on shoes or climbing into their car seat. How to respond. See the clinginess or withdrawal as a request for safety, not manipulation. Offer a safe base. You can sit with me and watch for a bit, or let's go take a quiet break together. If you're out, it's okay to step outside, sit in the car for 5 minutes, or find a quieter corner. Sign 4. They get unusually clumsy and spacey. When there's too much coming in, the brain has less power left for coordination and focus. One large parenting site notes that overstimulated toddlers may be more clumsy than usual, dropping or spilling things, and have trouble cooperating or concentrating. Real-life clues. Your toddler keeps tripping, bumping into furniture, or knocking over their drink 3 times in one meal. They seem spacey, staring into the distance, zoning out during simple tasks, jumping from one activity to another without finishing anything. How to respond. Instead of snapping, be careful. For the 10th time, mentally check, have we had too much today? Simplify the environment. Fewer toys out, one activity at a time, maybe move snacks to a less busy spot. Use slow, simple instructions. First shoes, then door, rather than long sentences. Sign 5. Meltdowns spike in loud, busy, or bright environments. Yes, toddlers have tantrums everywhere, but if you notice that the biggest explosions consistently happen in supermarkets, family gatherings, shopping malls, play centers, or noisy restaurants, that's a big overstimulation clue. Professionals who work with sensory overload in children list meltdowns triggered by loud noises, bright lights, crowds, and busy spaces as classic signs of sensory overload. It's not the terrible twos talking, it's their senses screaming, "Too much!" How it looks. Your toddler is fine at home, but always melts down in the car on the way back from a party. They go from happy to hysterical the moment you step into a big supermarket. At a play center, they start screaming whenever another child bumps into them or the music gets louder. How to respond. When possible, shorten or shift these trips. Go earlier when stores are quieter, leave the party before your child hits the wall, or choose calmer settings. During the outing, watch for early signs, fidgeting, covering ears, more clinginess, so you can take a short break before the full meltdown. Have a calm kit. Snack, water, a comfort toy or blanket, maybe child-safe headphones. Sign 6. They refuse simple tasks or say, "I can't," about everything. Toddlers love independence, until they don't. A sudden wave of, "I can't," or refusing to cooperate with simple daily things can be a quiet sign that their tank is empty. Guides on overstimulation mention that overloaded toddlers may ask for more help than usual, refuse to complete tasks they normally do, or become less cooperative with requests. It's not laziness. Their brain is simply done making decisions and resisting impulses. You might see a child who usually loves brushing teeth suddenly lies on the floor and refuses. Endless, "No, you do it," about putting toys away, choosing clothes, or climbing into the car. A toddler who whines and collapses even when you ask for tiny things like, "Hand me your cup." How to respond. Instead of turning it into a power struggle, recognize decision fatigue. Offer fewer choices. "I'll help," "Arms up," instead of, "Do you want to get dressed?" Break tasks into very small steps and use first, then. First shoes on, then we read a book in the car. Sign 7. Their sleep and eating fall apart after big days. Sometimes the sign doesn't show up during the activity, but later at nap time, bedtime, or meal times. Children under stress or emotional overload often have changes in sleeping and eating patterns. Trouble falling asleep, more night wakings, refusing food, or becoming extra fussy at meals. Parents notice this after birthday parties, long travel days, or holidays. The day looked fine, but bedtime is a disaster. What it looks like. After a busy day, your toddler is tired but wired, running around their room, begging for one more story. They wake more often at night, have restless sleep, or call out crying. They pick at dinner, reject familiar foods, or seem too overwhelmed to sit at the table. How to respond? Expect it. On high-input days, plan an extra simple evening. Early dinner, predictable routine, no extra screens or activities. Build in mini breaks during the day, a quiet cuddle with a book, a short walk outside, a calm snack in the car. Keep bedtime rituals the same and soothing, even if you have to start them earlier. Putting it all together. The tricky part about overstimulation is that it doesn't look the same in every child, or every day. One toddler might go hyper, another might go clingy, another might get quiet and glassy-eyed. Many kids cycle through several of these signs in a single afternoon. So instead of memorizing every possible symptom, try this approach. Notice patterns. Start asking yourself, when do the hardest moments usually happen? After daycare? At big family events? Right before dinner? Patterns matter more than any single meltdown. Scan for the 7 signs. When you hit a rough patch, quickly check this mental list. Sudden mood, flip over something tiny. Wired hyper instead of tired. Clingy shadow or total shutdown. Extra clumsy and spacey. Meltdowns in noisy, busy places. I can't, and refusing simple tasks. Sleep, touch, eating, go off after big days. If you're seeing several at once, assume overstimulation is part of the picture. Respond to the nervous system, not just the behavior. Yes, we still keep boundaries. We still say no to hitting. We still leave the playground when it's time. But while you hold the line, you can also lower the input. Quieter voice, fewer words, less clutter, less noise, more connection. Build in reset moments. Children's brains actually need a mix of stimulation and recovery. Try sprinkling little pauses into the day. A cuddle on the couch with no TV, a few minutes of deep breaths together, a simple drawing session at the table, a walk where you deliberately keep things slow. When to seek extra help. If your child seems constantly overwhelmed by everyday situations, if meltdowns are extreme and frequent, or if you're worried about their development, always talk to your pediatrician or a child development specialist. They can help you rule out things like anxiety, ADHD, or sensory processing disorders, and give you tailored strategies. You're not failing because your toddler melts down in the supermarket or turns into a tiny hurricane at 5 p.m. You're raising a small human whose brain is doing an incredible amount of work every single day. By learning to spot these subtle signs of overstimulation, you're already doing something powerful. You're seeing the need underneath the behavior. And once you see it, you can respond with more empathy, better timing, and fewer battles. So next time your child loses it over the wrong color cup, take one quiet breath and ask yourself, is this really about the cup? Or is this about a brain that's had enough for today? That one question can change how the rest of your day goes, for both of you.